Welcome back, everybody. Week one of college football is finally here. I'm here with Sean and Drew. We're going to give our SEC predictions for this week. And also, we're going to run into some breakdown of three key games that are going on this weekend also. So right now, let's dive right into this SEC schedule. Starting off with tonight, we got Florida at Utah. 8 p.m. game right on ESPN. Is kicking off college football as far as the true week one schedule. I think it's going to be a close matchup. When you look at it on paper, I would say before this week, I was giving it as a definite win for Utah. But now with these past couple of days, we've kind of heard that, Cam Rising and their quarterback that's been there forever is not playing tonight. Their backup has not had a lot of in-game experience. They're losing they've lost their tight end for the game tonight, who was their leading receiver in last season. I think those are two huge hits. One thing I think does help with Utah is the fact that it is at home, is their opener for the season. It's going to be a packed stadium. It's prime time at night. Can Florida, with whatever version of this Florida team is coming in, can handle it? I don't know. I think, to me, if it's for my pick for this game, I gotta go, and it's tough. I think I'm gonna end up going with Florida on this one. I think the inexperience with Utah's backup is for me a big loss. Not having Cam Rising in there, and I think Florida, with their talent that they have, the difference between SEC talent and Pac-12 talent is going to be I think it's going to be a huge hit. So for me, I got to go Florida in that game. What do you think, Drew?
I think I'm right there with you when it comes to the aspect of Florida being willing to take this game home. I think it is going to be a tough environment for Florida, but I think their number one thing they have to be focused on is going in there and being a dominating football team in the trenches. Offense line, defense line for Florida's got to be able to put up those SEC type performance and really just say, we're not going to let y'all dominate us. We're going to be out there the ones dominating. I think if you can go in there and emphasize the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, that would be the key point for it. Defensive wise, you can't let this quarterback come in here and just show his butt off. You can't do that. It's not much film on him, not much knowledge on him, so it's going to be a surprise what you see with him. But I think through the first two quarters, first half, you're going to get a feel of who he is as a quarterback, which I don't even know too much about him. So I think when we got Cam Rising, that got then fell off the face of the map in the last couple of days, really switched up this prediction for a lot of people. But I think Florida, with his experience on the defensive line, with this coaching staff that it's got, with their new starting quarterback, they should be able to put together the type of team, the type of game to win this football game. So I'm really rooting for the Florida Gators. I'm an SEC guy. I want to see the SEC come on top of this win. And then going forward from there, I think they'll have the type of season that we predict they will put together. But this is going to be the starting point, beating Utah in their home stadium. So it's going to be a huge game for Florida. Let's see what they could do. Sean, what do you think about everything?
All right, so I agree with you guys on a couple of things. One, yes, I'm an SEC guy. I do want to see Florida win this game. I just don't know if they have enough to do it. Home field advantage, I think, is going to be really big for Utah. Kind of what helped Florida win the game last season. I think Utah is going to have that same advantage this year. Utah also, man, they got that revenge factor, brother. You know what I'm saying? To lose the game the way that they lost it last year, they definitely got a chip on their shoulder. This game has been highlighted in the locker room all off season. Yes, the quarterback being out is not ideal, but Utah does have 8 returning starters on defense that led the Pac-12 last year in sacks and rushing yards. Now, granted, this is Pac-12 competition as opposed to SEC competition, but you still led a Power 5 conference in 2 key statistics throughout the course of a whole year. Florida's defense should be a little better this year than it was last year. The fact that Utah is dealing with a hobbled quarterback, that is an advantage for Florida. But at the end of the day, I think Florida's going to have too much. Utah's going to have too much. This is more about Florida's inadequacy than their inability to move the ball, as opposed to Utah's ability to really beat them. So this is, again, more Florida being inept as opposed to Utah being a great team. I got Utah winning 27-13 at home.
Got you.
All right. So another game that's going on tonight is going to be Missouri taking on South Dakota at home. I think this is going to be an easy pick. I'm going with Missouri at home, night game, kicking off their schedule. I think what has been going on with Missouri is they got the nod today that Brady Cook, their guy who was playing for them, starting quarterback for them last year, is going to be the starter this year, beating out Jake Garcia, who came from Miami, transferred in this offseason. I really think this is going to be for them a very much still figuring out who we are type of game and figuring out who our starters are going to be going forward. It's a very feeling out game, in my opinion. I think they should easily take it. And so for me, I got to go with, I got Missouri taking it tonight. What about you, Drew?
Got you. I'm right there with you. I think this should be a cakewalk for Missouri. I think this is kind of just to show who we are type of game. So I think they got to come out strong. For Missouri, my biggest thing is, what is your efficiency level looking like on your offense? And can your defense be the same type of defense it was last year? I think having a quarterback battle through your fall camp is always good competition for your quarterback room. But can the guy that wins the job be efficient when it's time to put the real stuff on the field? That's my kid, and that's what I want to watch this game so closely. And they got some star people around receivers that I really want to see. Can y'all step up and make those big-time plays when it comes to it? I want to see Missouri put up 30-something points tonight. It's a lot of points. It's got to be efficient with it, but I really want to see, can they meet the realm of, we're going to step our game up in the SEC type of talent. What do you think, Sean?
That makes all the sense in the world, man. I got Missouri also. I've got Missouri big. This is the first game of two that I have Missouri predicted to win back-to-back games before they go and play Kansas State. If Missouri does this right, if the coaching staff can come up with things that worked well, things that they can build on this game and the next game, they may have a shot to get Kansas State and have some serious momentum going into the season. I don't think that's going to happen, but they've got to get this win tonight. They will get it. Just a matter of how they balance off of this win into next week and into the week after. That's what I'm looking for, is consistency with this team to see if they're going to be able to make any kind of noise in the SEC East this year.
Sounds good. So next game up is right there at noon on Saturday. We got Tennessee taking on Virginia at home. I think this game might be a little closer than people think. I do think Tennessee handles Virginia. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a blowout win. But I think early in that game, I think that Tennessee team honestly has a lot of pressure going on within that team to not only keep up with the expectations of what they built on last season, but carry it into this new season with brand new pieces across the board. I don't think their defense has gotten much better, especially in the secondary. You know, they were efficient stopping the run for people last season, but if you were brave enough to take your shots on their secondary, you were able to get what you wanted through the air. I think Joe Milton is going to have a good game. I think you're going to see what receivers they have left in that receiver room. I do think they're going to have it. I think by the end of the game, we should get maybe a Nico sighting in the back half of that game. But honestly, I think it's just going to be, I think that first half might be close, and the second half, with the adjustments being made by that coaching staff, I think they take off and then get a sizable lead in the second half to win it.
I'm right there with you. Tennessee is one of my teams to watch this year in the SEC East, because it's going to be, can they put two back-to-back seasons together to really show that they're a new top team in the East? I think my prediction on Tennessee is they're going to start the season off on an extremely high note. Off-season work has been crazy. Off-season hype has been crazy. Got a new quarterback in Joe Milton who can really bomb the ball down the field. And I heard they got some new receivers out there, speed ones and some good catching receivers. So I'm really going to think that they're going to put on a talent show early in the season. Virginia is not one of those teams that can really hold up, I think, on the offensive side with Tennessee. But I think defensively, they can get some things to kind of shock Tennessee, make them uncomfortable, get them out of their rhythm. That's the only chance I give Virginia even keeping this close. But I think if it goes the way everybody imagines it to go, Tennessee's going to come out blazing in this game right here. This should be an easy walk for Tennessee. I think it should be a good one. But I want to see, can they put together a full 4 quarters early in the season? Full 4 quarters for Tennessee is going to be huge going into their first couple early matchups. That's what I want to see from them going into this weekend. What do you think, Sean?
I'm with it. It's going to be a massacre. One thing I like, y'all know I'm really high on Tennessee this year. I've got them actually winning the East with 1 loss to Alabama. I like the fact that this is a Power 5 game, right? This is not the first, now they do have Austin Peay next week, but they do get somewhat of a challenge, which I think is going to be very important for them to, like you said, Drew, to really springboard and get these first 6 wins under their belt and in dominating fashion. We are looking for consistency, but I do believe that Josh Heupel is a system quarterback, offensively especially. We're going to see this offense probably be a lot sharper week 1 than last year's offense was week 1. So I'm looking for a massacre against Virginia.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So next up on that docket, we got another noon game on Saturday. Kentucky taking on Ball State at home. I think this is another cakewalk type of game. I really do believe Kentucky is going to handle this one. Devin Leary's his coming out party at Kentucky, coming from NC State, I think is big. I do think he's in the top percentile of these quarterbacks that are going to be playing this year. I think he's going to be really, really good. I think we should be able to see what weapons Kentucky has to work with this offseason. What does that running attack look like now that you don't have some of those familiar faces in the backfield? I think they handle this one very easy. I think this will be another game that'll be over by halftime. And I think I do really think they take this one. What about you, Drew?
I'm right there with you. I think this right here for Devin Leary is going to be his coming out party, just like you said. I really just want to see him be efficient. I want to see a great control of the offense. I want to see him match the intensity that everybody thought he would bring to the Kentucky offense. To me, the key to this game is going to be, can Kentucky's offense dominate Ball's defense? That's going to be my biggest thing. I'm not really too worried about Kentucky's defense, what they can do. It's going to be a cakewalk for their defense overall, domination-wise. It's really going to be how efficient can this offense be early. The key to really a lot of my picks throughout this week is going to be efficiency. Has the work you put in through fall camp showing up on the field early in these first 2 weeks? That's all I'm really looking at. For Kentucky, they have a brand-new quarterback who's supposed to excel them higher than what Will Levis did last year. So that's a good expectation, a big expectation. This is game 1 to see, can he be the type of person that's answering the call? That's all I'm really looking for this with Kentucky. What do you think, Sean?
Same. Kentucky is in a similar situation as Tennessee, where looking at their schedule, they're going to be able to roll off 5 or 6 wins. Well, Kentucky's not going to get 6 wins in a row, but they'll get 5 in a row. Now, it's playing against weak competition. So again, we're looking at consistency. How well are they going to be able to take week 1, build off of things that they may not have done so well against Ball State, carry those things, improve to week 2, week 3, week 4. They're going to have to be improving every single week if they even want to get a shot at Georgia in week 6. So coaching staff, they've been there for a long time. I love the head coach. This is going to be a complete blowout. But again, we're looking for consistency and we're looking for building blocks to lead them into that Georgia game in week 6.
Gotcha. All right, moving on to the 1 o'clock game on Saturday. We got Arkansas taking on Western Carolina at home. KJ Jefferson, I think, is going to have a big day. Raheem Sanders sitting out back there in the backfield. I think it's going to be another type of let's show everybody who we are type of game. Arkansas last season came out the gates at the beginning of the season, swinging. They look very efficient. They start the seasons well. There in Arkansas, I think they handle this one pretty easily. I think KJ Jefferson is going to put his name as far why people think he's at one of the top quarterbacks right now in the SEC. I think they'll be able to put that on display. So I got Arkansas, of course, taking this one at home.
I'm right there with you. I think I got Arkansas blowing them out of the water. When you're really thinking about Western Carolina, it's really they got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator going on in their organization. So it's really trying to figure out how they're going to work together. Arkansas, totally opposite standpoint. You got a lot of starters coming back from last year, returning people saying that this is going to be our mark on making a run for the SEC title. I think that their team has something to prove. I think they got a revenge factor. They ended the year off last year on a lot of injuries. So I think now they believe with a fully healthy team, we got our first 3 weeks to get ready for them LSU Tigers coming in. So I think they really got to be on point each week going into it. This week should be a washout. I want to see KJ Jefferson ball. I want to see Raheem Sanders ball with the running game. I want to see them dominating the ball on the ground. That's my biggest thing I want to see from Arkansas. I think they got it.
Yeah, I think Arkansas, they definitely have something to prove. They've been kind of hanging around that middle of the SEC West. KJ Jefferson being, arguably one of the better quarterbacks returning in the SEC is going to allow this to be a really, really big dominant win. I've got Arkansas by 35 points.
Sounds good. All right. So the next game, we got a 2:00 game Eastern time. It's Ole Miss taking on Mercer at home. I think this is going to be another blowout type of game, Lane Kiffin type of game, where he just enforces his offensive strategy, his team strategy on the opposition coming in. Should see some good quarterback play. We should see a lot of rushing yards by their top back coming in, who I think is going to be one of the top backs in the country. I think it's going to be an easy win for them. So yeah, I got Ole Miss taking the win against Mercer.
I'm right there with you. I think Ole Miss is going to walk through this one pretty easily. I think when you look at Mercer, they already got a week 0 game in last week, so they're not really too fresh. But I think Ole Miss is going to come with the overpowering of SEC football to what Mercer's trying to get done. Mercer's game last week really wasn't too impressive. If you look at the overall stats from it, I didn't watch the game, but really not too impressive. I think Ole Miss is really going to have a walk-through type of day. Let's really be efficient. Let's really be a standpoint. Let's really get in, get out, get our bench players in there by the fourth quarter, and let's walk the way with a dub right here. So I'm right. Ole Miss got it.
So Ole Miss, they're definitely going to win this game by a lot. They're going to hang 30, over 35 points on Mercer. What I'm curious about, Ole Miss is one of those teams with Lane Kiffin at the head coach. You're playing this cupcake team at the beginning of the year. I think Ole Miss could really benefit from more of a challenge early in the season. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is to me what I would consider like a gimmicky type of coach, right? Not gimmicky, but he'll go for it on fourth on his 10-yard line, right? He'll do a lot of things that you just wouldn't expect the coach to actually do. And one of the things that I like him for that. But when you're not playing anybody early in the season, you don't really get a chance to use those gimmick plays or whatnot, because you're not going to waste that play on Mercer, right? You're going to try it when you get to somebody that you're struggling to beat, but you really haven't worked it against the team yet. So I personally think that Ole Miss needs to do a better job of scheduling. But this year, it is what it is. They're going to kill Mercer, but I don't know if this game is going to help them later on down the road.
Yep, sounds good. I agree with that. Next up, we got Auburn at home, 3:30 slot, ESPN taking on Massachusetts. Hugh Freeze, his debut back into the SEC. Lot of talk around this game right now, not from a competitive standpoint, but what will this team look like under Hugh Freeze? You got everybody out here promoting them. I saw Cam Newton put up a video today talking about it's time to freeze out Auburn and this and that. And I think it's going to be a good game. Be interested. They got Peyton Thorne from coming out from Michigan State. I think you should see a very stable quarterback right now in that room, in that offense. I think they handle this one very easily. Shouldn't really be much of a contest. Another game that should be over by halftime. So I got them taking it week 1.
I'm right there with you. Two exciting things going on right here in Auburn. We got Hugh Freeze having his first game, and then we got a new quarterback in town that's really going to take the room. So I really want to see the two execute on the A+ level. I want to see the new quarterback really come in there and show that he's the leader of this team, command your offense, move the ball down the field, put up points. I feel like that's one thing that Auburn always hits or miss on when it comes to these easy games. They're either going to be super easy and they put up 50, or it's going to be a struggle through the first half and you see them pull away in the second half. So I want to see them take command in the first half. The biggest thing for these games for SEC teams, they got weak schedules in week 1. You have got to put your camp film to the test early. So it shouldn't be no cupcake and anything like that. It should come out trying to be as focused as possible, dominant as possible from game 1. Auburn is going to be a huge SEC team to watch in the next couple of years. Game 1 is going to be a huge starting point for them. So it's going to be a big weekend for Auburn.
I concur. I'm going to think, I put kind of Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin kind of in the same mold as far as coaches are concerned. But with Hugh Freeze, this being his first season as head coach, they need the cupcake, in my opinion. They need the cupcake. They need to score points, like you said, Drew. This fan base, I listen to, the Paul Feinbaums of the world and a lot of sports talk radio back in Alabama. And there's a lot of high hopes, a lot of expectations for this Auburn team, which I think they should be tempered just a little bit. But Auburn's gonna have a decent year this year, and it's gonna start by whooping the brakes off of their opponent here on Saturday. They do that, they're gonna carry momentum. And they're gonna be a tough out, whether they're at home or away. It's just whether they're going to be good enough to win some of these close games. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be a huge momentum builder for them. And I'm glad Hugh Freeze has a cupcake at the beginning of the season.
Yep. All right, next up, 4 o'clock slot. We got Mississippi State taking on SE Louisiana, Southeastern Louisiana. This is the new regime after the passing of Mike Leach, new coaching staff sitting there. But what's going to help that is that you're bringing back Will Rogers in at quarterback. That's going to be able to help transition that offense into a new regime and a new type of offense, from going from that spread to a more traditional style in this day and age of college football. I think this is going to be another easy one. Should be a good game. Think this will go throughout the game, scoring. I think you get some backups in, you figure out who your receivers are, get your running game going. You got the transfers coming in. Should be an easy win for them. Mississippi State takes it in my book.
I'm right there with you. I think Mississippi State gonna walk away with this one easily, 30 or 40 win. 40-point win. But I think the keys is going to be, like you said, piggybacking off of that Leach that Leach frame with them, the Mike Leach frame with them. He meant so much to this university that it's really going to be a new, weird feeling having him not around. But I think overall, with a good quarterback, like you said, it can be the key to that, because you're not going to really have to command or have to question your leadership. A lot of the pieces on the field are going to be questionable. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who's going to come out there and show up and make those plays. I think this is going to be a fun weekend. Let's make it as happy as possible. I think Mississippi State's going to have a great, great Saturday.
Agreed. This is no contest, for Mississippi State. But again, kind of like what I said about Auburn, I'm glad that the new coaching staff, they get a weaker team to kind of go out there and getting ideas to what they worked on in spring and summer, what works, what doesn't, what can we build upon from week to week, and nothing better than a springboard against a weak opponent, and get your team and your coaching staff and your fan base a whole lot of confidence going into the remainder of the year.
Yep. All right. So next up, we got number 1 Georgia, 6 p.m. taking on UT Martin. What I think is going to happen in this game is going to be a blowout. I think what you're going to try to see from Georgia has expressed throughout this whole fall camp that they are not worried about their passing attack with the new quarterback Carson Beck coming in. You still got your top receivers in there. You still got Bowers at tight end. I'm telling you, I think they're going to try. What they're going to try to do is jump out, get a quick 3-touchdown lead, and then I think they're going to work on the things that they've been worried about through fall, which is their running game. I think you're going to see to try them run the ball in different fits to try to find that guy who's going to be their number 1 running back. I think this is one of those games where they're going to try to figure that out. It's going to be a blowout win. Georgia takes it on the way to taking it, figure out who they are, figure out what they want to do with the running game, or are they going to be a pure passing type of team going forward throughout this season?
I'm right there with you. Easy, maybe 60-point win by Georgia right here. They're gonna really try to put some balls in the end zone right there. So I think overall, the things I'm gonna be looking for is, 1, can Georgia get all the off-season drama out of their heads? Really focus on dominating football again, because having the task that they got this season, going on a 3-peat run, is something that's going to take extreme levels of focus. This week cannot be a week that we just say, okay, cool, it's a 0 game. We're going to blow them out. We're not going to build anything of it. You've got to start putting stuff together for Georgia ASAP. Your season is not going to be easy, because everybody's giving you their extreme best shot this time. They see that you're a little bit vulnerable through the rumors that we heard in the offseason, through a new quarterback, through an iffy overall toughness of the team. They're going to be ready to go out here and prove a point. I want to see, can they do it? Getting into these next couple weeks for Georgia. I'm excited to play. I'm not a huge fan.
Oh yeah. This game is about reps for Georgia. We've seen this as Bama fans for many years. Nick Saban takes these games and he's really just trying to build depth, man, trying to figure out who can really do what. I will say, man, I'm worried about Georgia this year. Even though their schedule is very weak, they're trying to 3-peat. Something that's extremely hard to do. Kirby Smart is probably at home or at the office right now, really worried about his team, not talent-wise, but like you said, Drew, the off-the-field stuff, right? These are the things that will allow a team not to three-peat. It happened to Bama one time when they had a superior team, they had the schedule, they weren't able to get it done. I got a feeling Georgia's going to be haunted. They're going to win this game by a ton. They're going to build some depth, but I've got my eyes on Georgia very, very closely, and I think I have them projected to lose 2 games this season. So, it's going to be interesting, but this game's going to be a blowout.
All right, moving on to Texas A&M at home, taking on New Mexico. Connor Wegman is going to be the quarterback for them going forward. They still have a lot of talent on this team. But what is going to happen now with who's going to be calling plays offensively? What is this team going to look like mentally? Are they mentally prepared now? Because last year, got the #1 recruiting class, a lot of young guys on the field, saw a lot of boneheaded mistakes in a lot of this last year. And that team just kind of fell apart right before everybody. How do they bounce back from that kind of season? This is one of those games where you try to put it together, get some confidence in the locker room, get your guys that are young going into sophomore year playing well. You got to fill in your new running back now. The A-Chain is gone. But I think having that quarterback, Wegman, playing a lot at the end of last season is going to help carry over into that experience is going to help carry them into the beginning of this year. You got to get it together this week, because in week 2 you're going to Miami. So this is not a hey, we got a little while to get this figured out. You got fall, you got this game as your first real game, and then you got to get on the road, and now that your season really starts next week at Miami. They take care of this one obviously at home, but it'll be interesting to see what that team looks like. Can they put up 30+ points on a team that they should put it up on, or will you kind of get by with a 25, 24 point victory? The other team scores in the teens. What do you look like as a team for Texas A&M?
I think already, which I think Texas A&M is going to have a very, very interesting beginning of the season. You got a new offensive coordinator in Bobby Petrino, so I think he's going to be looking to make a bang with the offense. Giving yourself a starting quarterback, having a quarterback battle through camp, like I said, is always going to bring good competition to your team. Now it's going to be, can you be efficient when it comes to what we're going to put on the field? Texas A&M, to me, is going to be key on player-coach relationship. And what I mean by that is I really want to see how hard Texas A&M players are going to be fighting for their coaching staff. Throughout the last couple of years, you kind of had a coaching staff that was, to me, digressing, going backwards, taking steps back. This year, you try to revamp it with the new additions to the offensive coordinator position. So now it's going to see, do we have a new overall light to the team? How are we going to go? I got Texas A&M being one of my sleeper teams this year. I think they're going to do better than predicted. I think we have to see it on the field Saturday. I think this is going to be a perfect opportunity to do it, and a perfect team to whoop up against and see what we got.
Oh yeah. I think A&M similar to Alabama this year from a scheduling perspective. You schedule the cream puff early. Week 2, you're gonna have your challenge. I think that was beneficial for A&M to be ready for next week to even come up and play against the Miami. I don't know if Bobby Petrino. He's a great play caller. We all know that. He was a great play caller at Arkansas when he was a head coach there. I don't know how good of a player coach Bobby Petrino really is. And I frankly don't know how much of a player's coach Jimbo is. I think he is, but I think it's going to, like you said, Drew, it's going to really depend on the relationship between Jimbo and Bobby on the field coaching, like during the game. How do they work well together? And how do the players react to two head coaches on the sidelines at one time? Interesting season. They are going to be a team to watch. They have to get it done this year. If they don't, I think Jimbo's out. So I think they're going all in. We'll see. But I do have A&M big tomorrow, Saturday.
All right, another night game, 7 o'clock. We got Vanderbilt at home against Alabama A&M. Let me tell you something about this Vanderbilt team. They got a lot of confidence off of their win last weekend in week 0 against a Hawaii team. But I tell you what, you can't be fooled by it, because if you take away the kick return for a touchdown, that's a tie game at the end of that ball game. That wasn't no type of blowout win or, they went out there and handled business in week 0 against Hawaii. No, this is a team that looked like a Vanderbilt team. They caught a break with the kick return going back for a touchdown. They should have this one. This should be a very easy game for them to take, and I expect them to take it to start off 2-0. But I tell you what, I'm not overly sold on what they have. I'm not overly sold on what they are, and I think this is going to be another as expected season for Vanderbilt.
I'm right there with you. I think Vanderbilt's going to take this game home, of course. I think SEC is going to be able to pull out a lot of good wins this week. But I think Vanderbilt overall is going to have that mentality of, can we erase the stigma that we've had over our organization for the last decade? Can we get out of this rut that we've been in since I can remember? I'm only 27 years old. I can't remember a time Vanderbilt was even decent. So I think when you look at this year right here, they got another quarterback and, Swain that can really put some passing yards on the board. But I think they just got to go all out this year. Take shots, pull out the trick plays, see can we make some upsets. I think that's going to be the key to their year is who can we really be enough to upset. Not going to be too many, but I think Vanderbilt will have a smile on their face at the end of Saturday this week.
Yes, they will. Listen, this will be the second week in a row they get to smile. And the great news for Vanderbilt is they get to smile 2 more weeks after that. They better get used. They better learn how to smile early because it's going to be ugly at the end of the year. They barely beat Hawaii, and Timmy Chang was not on the field for Hawaii. Okay, this was not, June Jones's old Hawaii teams. Okay, this is a very pedestrian Hawaii team that Vanderbilt barely beat. Okay, they're going to win tomorrow. I'm an Alabama guy. Always going to love teams from the SWAC. I hope Alabama A&M does at least score some points. Represent the state and the SWAC. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to hang. I got a 2-touchdown win for Vanderbilt on Saturday.
All right, here we go to another 7:30 game. We got Alabama at home against Middle Tennessee. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a blowout win. And what I'm looking for in this Alabama team in this week one game is, can Alabama get back to the style of football of just physically dominating at every aspect of the game? Special team, offense, defense, defensive line, offensive line. I think there's going to be a lot of running in this game, a lot of run first mentality. I think they need to get back to that mentality of saying, hey, you don't deserve to be on the field with us, especially at home. And at the same time, I think Jalen Milroe, I'm pretty sure, if not guaranteeing, he's going to be the guy to take the first snaps with the first team. I think you're going to see a combination of everybody else once they get a bigger enough lead to see what they got. But I really do think this is going to be hey, we're going to run the ball down your throat on offense. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it but take it. And they're going to come away with another, probably, I got them in the 50s scoring wise in this game.
I think this one right here, I'm a Alabama fan, so I think this one right here is going to be an easy walkthrough for Bama. But I think there's a couple keys that I want to watch Bama do. I want to see the starting quarterback come out there and command the offense, like Nick Saban said. Who is going to take over the offense as the quarterback role? I think Jalen Milroe has the talent, and I think he's improved enough through his arm to really, as an overall quarterback, take advantage of what he has to do. My biggest thing when it comes to this game right here is going to be one thing: can the defense get back to turnover football? I think our defense can be dominating, but the last couple of seasons, we haven't turned the ball over the way I want to. I really want this team to come out and put up at least 35 to close to 40 in the first half. The way you do that is dominating early and turning the ball over. I want the starters to get out there and show who they really are, and I really want to see a carousel of quarterbacks come through this game. I think each quarterback should have an easy way to go in the forms of their playing time, but I don't think the quarterback decision is going to get made long-term by just the beginning of this game. I think we're going to see the first game as a test trial for each quarterback, and we'll see who puts together the best fall, and the best first game. That's going to be leading us into the next week Texas game. And I think overall, Jalen Milroe will be the person to lead this offense.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited for Jalen. I'm really excited for the team. I've been hearing a lot, about the defense, a lot about the offensive line being potentially one of the best O-lines in the country this season. We've got defensive line is going to be great. This is going to be a complete cakewalk. And just like you, Drew, I do want to see all 3 quarterbacks get some meaningful reps. There's been so much talk about these quarterbacks. I'm ready to see what they can do. I'm ready to see what the coaching staff has been seeing all year. Who really is ready and who's not ready. And we'll find that out on Saturday. There's also a true freshman that's there that I have been hearing a lot of really, really good things about. Extremely talented, active arm. I don't know if he's good enough to knock off, Milroe or Simpson yet, but everything I'm hearing, this guy is like really making strides. So I'd love to see him too. So I'm looking forward to see quarterbacks and a huge win for the Crimson Tide on Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
All right. And with that, we're going to move into our games of the week. We got 3 of them this week, and I think we got to head off with the first one's going up the bat is going to be South Carolina versus North Carolina in Charlotte, neutral site game. I'm hearing everything about this game. It's going to be a tight game. I really do believe that. North Carolina is coming in as a 2.5 point favorite. I believe that as of today, they are. You got all the hype coming around Drake May. What I think is a lot of people's mindsets going into this game is that South Carolina should take the mindset of we need to run the ball and keep the ball out of Drake May's hands. And I'm on the side of, I think it's the opposite. I think North Carolina is going to be on the side of, hey, I don't know if we believe in our defense. I know they got some new guys in, and a lot of people in their camp has been saying this defense is supposed to be improved. I don't see it. I don't see the who are you going to have to step up in that secondary. And these are the type of games with an experienced Spencer Rattler throwing the ball. Everything I'm hearing from fall camp is that he's been playing with his hair on fire. He is looking to be, hey, this is my year. I'm coming into a system that I'm 100% completely confident in. I feel like they're letting him call the plays. That's how comfortable he is with it. Darryl Loggins is saying, hey, he understands the offense to the point where if he wants to change something, he can go change something at the line of scrimmage. And a couple last week, you had some issues with Juice Wells didn't practice at all last week. So did your new tight end coming in from Arkansas, Trey Knox. Your freak athlete that you brought in to play receiver, Nicholas Harbor, was also non-contact at practice. All those guys are back. And from what Shane was saying on Tuesday, is that they're all 100% ready to go. You're going to have a full-scale passing attack from Carolina. I think the Kerryon Joyner in at running back is going to be – he's going to make his statement of saying, even though came in as a quarterback, went to receiver, then ended up going to now playing as the number 1 running back, he's put on the weight, and from what they're saying, he still looks as electric as he did with the ball in his hands last year and has the mindset to run in between the tackles and not just be a bounce to the outside type of guy. Looking at the secondary, which is going to be up to a tall task of facing Drake May, from what everybody's been saying as far as the player interviews are saying, is that they got ready for this game because of the fact that they're every day in practice going up against Spencer Rattler, who's probably the most confident he's been in his college career. Playing against him is getting them ready to go up against Drake May. I don't think it's going to be as much of a high scoring game. I really think this game is going to end up being in the 20s as far as scoring wise. And as far as my pick, I think for me, I think South Carolina has it. I think they have the better roster. I think they have better weapons on offense around Spencer more so than it is the weapons around Drake May. Can you contain Drake May's running? For last season with Drake May, they started out 9-1. Any game that he ran for more than, I think it was 75 yards, because he was their leading rusher last season for the team. Any game he rushed for more than 75 yards in a game, they won those games. Can you contain him and make him just a passer? Because I think they don't have faith in their running backs. I really think it's going to come down to that. And I think what you're going to see from Carolina, as far as South Carolina, is they're going to come out the gates and kind of play like they played against Tennessee and like Clemson, which is what they wanted to emulate, and get out and attack downfield in that secondary early. I think, and I got South Carolina taking this one. I think it's going to be a fight, but I got them taking it.
Gotcha. Games of the week for us are going to be really, really interesting. It's not overall countrywide game of the week, but it's what us on this show right here think are going to be the most important games this week. South Carolina, North Carolina is going to be truly interesting. Battle of the Carolinas. To me, this game is all about key battles. My top 3 battles for this game going to be QB battle. Who can win that one? Drake May is right now supposed to be predicted a top 3 quarterback going into the draft. I want to see that on the field week 1. If you had that type of hype, just like Caleb Williams did, just like these other quarterbacks did in 0 week, they came out and put their stamp on the game. Can Drake May do that? Spencer Rattler on the other stand. He has way more hype coming into this season based on how he finished the year last year. Being in Columbia, South Carolina, living here, I've even heard people bring up Heisman conversation when it comes to Spencer Rattler. So I'm like, I really don't know what I'm going to see on the field for him. But when it comes to that QB battle, I'm giving it to North Carolina. I have to be on that side because that top 3 overall pick is something that is really going to be potent in the NCAA today when it comes to college football. Second battle, I think, for this game is going to be truly, truly interesting is the battle of the trenches. Can overall defense line versus offensive line be a main standing point in this? I think when it comes to both teams, defensive line, how are you getting pressure on the quarterback to make things not go as fluent as they're supposed to be? I give South Carolina that hand. I think South Carolina has the overall better trenches when it comes to offensive line, defensive line, which can make a long day for Drake May. How can you handle that pressure? The last battle I got for this game, my third overall point is going to be turnover battle. Turnover battle is going to be key. Early in the season, it's easy for people to make mistakes because they're not on the same page. Now, to me, I don't know which team is going to favor that, but I want to say this statement right here. I want to say, how well does South Carolina handle getting hit in the mouth? If they come out there and have a turnover, do they bounce back well? Do they get down on themselves? How can they respond? I'm favoring South Carolina in this game, but I am going to give them the loss when it comes to my overall prediction, 24-27. I think North Carolina has a field goal by a game-winning drive by Drake May to go down there and put South Carolina back in their overall home state.
Man, guys, I'm looking so forward to this game. The Duke's Mayo Classic, man. There's no better mayonnaise than Duke's out there. I'll tell you that right now. If I bring anything but Duke's in the house, man, it's getting thrown out. I'm glad the weather's not going to be play a factor, right? So the hurricanes kind of come through, whatever. It should be nice there in Charlotte. Charlotte's about an hour away from Columbia, about 2 hours from Chapel Hill. The crowd should be, pretty much divided right down the middle. Should be rocking in the Panther Stadium. Then, to your point, some of the keys for Carolina are going to be the players that were injured. They're 100%. They're going to be the difference makers. Carolina just has more skill than North Carolina does. South Carolina has more skill than North Carolina does. If Spencer Rattler ends up in the Heisman conversation by the end of the year, I'm telling you, Carolina is going to have an incredible season for Carolina standards. And they are my team to look out for this year. Drake May, of course, he's going to start top 3 projected pick in the draft. He was their leading rusher in 2022, which I think is a problem. So I don't think Carolina's got enough. I think Drake May will keep it interesting. I've got Carolina 24-17, but South Carolina 24-17. North Carolina just does not have enough to compete for 4 quarters.
All right, we're going on to game number 2 of our games of the week. We got LSU taking on Florida State Monday night, neutral site game down in Orlando, Florida. I think you're going to see a very heavy presence of both team fan bases. LSU crowds travel very well. Florida State, you're in Florida. So right now, I think LSU stands as today as another game that's a 2.5 point favorite to win the game as far as LSU being concerned. What are you going to get from the LSU side? I want to take it and say, Jayden Daniels, can you get that dynamic guy that you saw at the back half of the season last year? He led the FBS in rushing for quarterbacks last season. Keys for the defense, you got to get pressure on Jordan Travis. They got a lot of new weapons and a lot of people on that offense. If you can shut him down and get to him, it's going to be huge for LSU. Harold Perkins, 3rd most sacks in the SEC last season. Can he come in and just show that, hey, this season he is the guy in the SEC as a pass rusher? Another thing is from what a lot of people have been saying, the problem with LSU the last couple of seasons has been their rushing game. Who's going to be, will they have a running back that's going to come into this season and kind of do it? And at the same time, their O-line has not been that good. You got Daniels last season was sacked 45 times which is the 3rd most last year. Can you protect him and give him time to make things happen for them on offense? And from what everybody's been saying in camp from LSU is saying that they're in love with the O-line. They say their O-line has been playing out of their mind this offseason. I don't really buy into the O-line, D-line talk because how much can you really practice your O-line play and your D-line play in the offseason and in fall camp? Moving over to Florida State, their key is going to be you got to win through the air. Florida State is going to have to pass the ball. LSU is likely their top 2 starters right now are going to be their 2 guys that they got in the transfer portal at cornerback. Both their corners are not going to be guys that's been there last year. They're going to be brand new guys out there on the field. And at the same time, you're looking at a great passing attack. You're bringing in Coleman from Michigan State, who's supposed to be one of the top wide receivers in the country last year, and coming into this year, you're getting a more stable quarterback, I believe, and in a better offensive set for him. You're bringing in Jaheim Bell, who is a dynamic, can put him anywhere on the team type of tight end coming out of South Carolina. The thing is going to be right now, which version of this Florida State defense are you going to get? They were 4th in pass defense last season, was Florida State. But in the rushing defense, you were ranked 75th. So what are you going to get from them? They led the ACC in rushing last year. These are going to be 2 brand new kind of fresh teams from the fact that this is the number 2 team versus the number 6 team in the transfer portal. Also, as far as bringing in talent, I think it's going to be a very tough game. I think it's going to be a very exciting game. I'm not expecting it to be as sloppy as it was last year, but for my prediction, I think I'm going with Florida State to pull this one out. I'm going back to the standpoint of last year. I don't believe in what I really saw from LSU. I get it. They got a lot of hype coming in. They made it to the championship, but I think a lot of their games that they were winning, the way they ended up at the end of last season, was more so on everybody else than it was on how this team was. So I got Florida State in this game.
Got you. I'm piggybacking off of you. I think this game is going to be the game of the week. If you have to pick a number 1, this is going to be the number 1 game of the week. Just first of all, overall rivalry between these 2. These teams are not unfamiliar with each other. They've played each other a lot in the past. Last year's game is going to be so key on this year's game when you think of overall how these teams are going to fight each other. Last year's game was a dog fight. When you asked if these teams were ready to put their 110% effort into the game, I think you're going to see a reverse of that this year in the aspects of both teams have gotten better since they last year. Year 2 for Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers is going to be very, very interesting on the offensive side of things. That offensive line, like you said, Van, to me is something that I don't buy too much stock in, but I do buy stock in the fact that they are all 5 starters that came back from last year. So they know how to play with each other in aspects of command and communication between the offensive line. But Florida State's defensive line is not something that you can play around with. They had last year the ACC Rookie of the Year when it comes to one of their guys on the defensive line. And I forgot the guy's name, so I'm not even going to try to remember it. But overall, they do have some guys on that defensive line that can create pressure for Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels last year, to me, when under pressure, was not the most accurate quarterback, which could cause for concern for the LSU offense. So now, how efficient can you be as a quarterback in year 2 in that organization, in year 2 in that system? Can you be efficient? Florida State, on the other hand, offense, is going to be ran by somebody who I think has the number 2 shot to win the Heisman. And Travis, I think when you look at him right there, I think he's the type of guy who's Bryce Young-esque. When you think of accuracy down the field, commanding the offense, and improvising when things go wrong. He has some true weapons, a transfer coming from Michigan State, and a 6'7" wide receiver in Johnny Wilson that is going to be a matchup problem for Florida State's offense. My thing when it comes to Florida State's offense is, 1, can you be efficient versus a true SEC defense? Flipping the side of the field, SEC LSU's defense has the potential to be the best defense in the SEC this year. They got a lot of key transfers, and the middle linebacker Perkins, I think, is going to be a game-changing person this year in the SEC. I think he's going to be Michael Parsons-esque when you think of his freedom around the field, and I think he's going to be a sack machine. I think he's going to tally close to 10 to 15 sacks this year, easy. So I really want to look at what he has to bring to the table on Sunday night. I think overall my prediction is going to be LSU is going to take a loss, just because I believe in who Florida State's quarterback is, and I believe that he has the talent to make the plays that get Florida State pass it. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a defensive battle game. I think it's going to be around 14-20. But I give Florida State getting a late fourth-quarter touchdown and an exhausted LSU defense that takes them over the hump. No shenanigans like it was last year through a missed field goal, but it's going to be something that's going to come down to the overall last 5 minutes of the game. And I think Florida State has the quarterback that can get them over the top.
Great points, man. I think, like Van said, both teams are going to travel well. I think the stands will be split in half. Keys for LSU, man, they've got momentum coming off the SEC West crown last year. They also have a lot of starters coming back, right? And you take Brian Kelly, as good of a coach as he is, he's done very well in the transfer portal, but he's also got a lot of kids that were there last year that are returning, that are undoubtedly going to be better than they were last year. Brian Kelly is another key for LSU. Arguably, in my opinion, one of the most elite coaches in college football today, and will be as long as he's on the sidelines. Anytime Brian Kelly is on the sidelines, you cannot count his team out. I don't care who the team is. You can't count them out. I don't care if it's Cincinnati, Notre Dame, or LSU, they're going to be there. And then, of course, you got your returning starting quarterback, Jayden Daniels. I would like to see him with better protection. It's a shame he got sacked so much, and he can move with his legs, right? That tells me that the offensive line was just terrible. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That has to improve. Florida State, they're also returning plenty of starters from a 10-win team. I don't think they won 10 games, and it's been a number of years since they won 10 games in the season. So they're also carrying a lot of momentum with them. Their starting quarterback, Jordan Travis, and edge rusher, Jared Verse, both are back on the field for the 2023 campaign. This is going to be a heavyweight fight. I've got LSU with the win, 20-13, mainly because of coaching. I think Brian Kelly is worth a touchdown in this game.
Yep, sounds good. And our last game of the week is going to be a quick one. We're going TCU versus Colorado. Of course, everybody knows the hype around this game. You got Deion Sanders, who is coming over from I can't even think, Jackson State right now. Nobody in the country, well, I won't say nobody in the country, but none of the experts online or on TV are giving Colorado much of a chance at all to win this game. They are, I want to say, 20-point dogs as of right now. Right now, they're 20.5 underdogs, 25 point on underdogs in this game. And honestly, I don't see it. I don't see the hype around TCU. You're losing your quarterback. You're losing your leading receiver from last year. I don't think this TCU team will be very good. I think they lucked up into where they were last year. And honestly, I think Colorado is going to be a completely different team. I don't think you can look at any film that you watched from Colorado last year and say, hey, I got an idea on what they're going to do or what they're going to be this season. I think it's going to be a brand new, fresh. When you think of a fresh slate, this is about as fresh as you can get as a team to be going into a new season. Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. You got Travis Hunter, who I think is going to play both sides of the ball again, like he was doing last season, as far as receiver and being at corner or DB, or whatever position they want to put him in. And I honestly think this could be an upset. I think they're gonna pull it off. I think I'm gonna go with Colorado to win this game. I really do. I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying I think they're gonna get it. I think TCU is gonna be kind of lost on what they're trying to do. You don't have really any experience on that offensive side of the ball, and I think Deion has just brought in just enough playmakers to where you don't have a team full of guys who can win you a game, but you got enough guys on the field who can make plays and get the job done enough in the game to stop your opposition, especially on defense, and enough firepower on offense to put some points on the board with as dynamic as Shedeur Sanders can be at quarterback. So I'm picking them to pull the upset as the first huge upset of the season, taking down TCU at TCU.
Got you. I'm going to be on the opposite side of this right here. I don't think TCU is going to struggle with this game. I think when you look at their overall team, it's going to be a kind of a small rebuild early to really try to figure out who's going to be those new guys in the fold that's going to be the big-time players. When you look at TCU last year, let's go back to the beginning of last year. Max Duggan did not win that starting job of that team. The starting quarterback that they have this year is the guy that won it. He went down last year due to injury, and we saw, of course, a Heisman contender come up and get that team all the way to the national championship. Now, this year, I think TCU can put back together a solid season. But I think the overall coaching experience and development is going to be the key to get that done early. When you look at a team like Colorado, they're so brand new from what they was last year. I think truly, just because of knowing how football tough it is to get people on the same page, I think there are going to be true growing pains in Colorado early this season. How do you get over growing pains when it comes to winning football? You have to focus in on your star players. Now, their quarterback, Shedeur, I'm so interested to see, can he be the level of quarterback that everybody's hyping him up to be? They're really trying to hype him up to be, trying to say he's a first-round quarterback when it comes to the NFL. I got to see that in performance. Now, Jackson State, when you look at his team there, you're really not going against the type of competition that you have on your side of football. So, okay, yes, your passes you're throwing, you can throw easy window passes when you don't have pressure. You can make tough contested catches when you have the number one player in the country coming in on the wide receiver side of the ball. That's not going to be the same flow easily when you get into this football that they're going to be playing against TSCU. Even their whole conference, their whole schedule this year, I got Colorado maybe getting 4 to 5 wins. But that's going to be truly depending on your talent. And I really got to say they got a lot to prove. I'm taking them to lose this week big, at least by 30. Because I think your best star player in Travis Hunter, if he's playing both ways, he's going to do something that's going to be extremely tough, is to be truly ready energy-wise when the most important point in the game comes up, fourth quarter. I think by this Colorado team, you're not going to really see them get into their stride until week 6, week 7. So I think early on in the season, they're just going to figure out who's going to be the players around us that's going to step up big time. There's a lot of stuff you can see a few players in camp, but you really can't see how your team's going to respond when you're going against somebody that's overall better than you. I don't think we've seen Deion Sanders in that standpoint yet. Now, I'm rooting for him in this aspect. I'm rooting for him in his rebuild. I'm rooting for him in what he could do with Colorado. But I think year one is going to come into true struggles when it comes to, are we on the same page all across the field? So right now I've got TCU winning this one by at least 21 points. I got Colorado having some flashy moments to say, hey, this team can be fun to watch. But overall, I think they're going to fold when it comes to late game execution.
Drew, I think I'm with you, man. And this doesn't have any, my opinion here does not have anything to do with what Deion Sanders can and cannot do. TCU is going to be a decent team. They also have a lot of momentum. They overachieved last season, but they were there, right? They were there. They've got the recipe. They know what it takes to win big games. They know what it takes to win championship games. Deion is so far removed from that, it doesn't make any sense. Not his fault. Deion took the house and tore it down. Not only did he tear the house down, he went and tore the foundation down. He dug a brand new hole, filled it with concrete, right? He put all of the wood up and everything. We just don't know how stable that foundation is because he brought in like 85 players, brand new players that had not even been on campus last year. It's going to be a monumental rebuild. I applaud him for what he did. He had to do it the way that he did it, but I don't think he did it for success this year. Right? This is something that he did. He knows in the back of his mind, these moves are going to make his team much better year 2, year 3, moving forward on down the road. Right now, TCU is going to be way too much. I've got TCU big with you. I do think, like you said, Drew, Colorado is going to show some things that you're going to be able to see the genius of Deion Sanders, but they're not going to get the win. I've got them going down at least 3 touchdowns. TCU is going to get the win, but this is one game that I'm also looking really forward to seeing because it's going to be some hype. The TV rating is going to be nuts. It's going to be a show, and hopefully Colorado bounces back from this loss and continues to improve throughout the course of the year.
Gotcha. Well, thank everybody for tuning in this week. Leave your comments, leave your predictions, leave anything you want to say, leave a like. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's going to be a very fun season. We'll see y'all back in the next video for our reactions to this week and breaking down some of these games a lot, especially if there's any surprises that go on this week. We'll definitely hit that hopefully on Sunday, and we'll catch you next time. Till then, we'll catch you.
Sounds good. Roll Tide, y'all.